Welcome back to the channel, boys. Fabluncey's coming at you next with another Destiny 2 video. And in this video, I kind of just want to give my thoughts and my opinions on the new season, what lies inside of it, such as the new seasonal activity, the loot, and just the overall gameplay and the feel of it. I want to give whether or not is it worth playing Destiny 2 right now, getting ready for the Witch Queen, and is it worth investing some time into. So let's go ahead and start with the feel of the season. How does it feel to be playing Destiny 2 right now? And honestly, I think it feels pretty good. We got a bunch of new mods this season. Seems like Bungie's really diving into the elemental well mods. I kind of wish that they did bring out some more Charge with Light mods, but maybe they're kind of moving away from Charge with Light and kind of really delving into this elemental wells, which that's fine with me. I think elemental wells are great. They're fun and it adds a lot of synergy with, your subclass element type, your weapons. Maybe if you want to run a melee build, you can create elemental wells or a grenade build. So it feels really nice that they're kind of delving into something. It's kind of not like, all right, one season we got Warm Mind Cells, one season we got Charger Light, then we got Elemental Wells. They kind of just seem to be really pushing Elemental Wells. Although I personally really like Charger Light. I feel like they're really powerful. I feel like they're much more powerful than the Elemental Well mods. Maybe that was the point of Charger Light mods, that they're supposed to be extremely powerful. I don't know what it is, but these Elemental Well mods are seeming to be pretty good. Well of Tenacity is the one that comes in mind that is really good. Picking up a Void Elemental Well gives you a damage resistance buff, although that was from, I think it was from last season, but still it's still part of like the new Elemental Well mod system that we have, and it seems to be really good. The combat feels good. And speaking of combat, the patch that came with the launch of Season of the Lost actually had a bunch of retuning to our light subclasses, some weapon archetypes, some mods and such. So I kind of just want to talk about that. One, the changes that they did to the light subclasses are fantastic. Some of the most underutilized subclasses like Bottom Tree Dawnblade, although Dawn Chorus did give it some usage, it still needed some help. Middle Tree Voidwalker, Nova Warp, it got a massive buff. So all these changes to this subclass just feel fantastic. It feels nice to be able to actually use some of these underused subclasses and feel powerful again. One of the ones I'm liking the most is Bottom Tree Dawnblade. The fact that you can just, it's like almost like chain reaction is on everything in the subclass, and it's so cool looking and it's powerful, especially if you pair that with Dawn Chorus. You have a ad clearing monster and your super does pretty nice boss damage. So you have everything with that subclass and it feels great. Now, although that they did nerf some of these super regeneration exotics, they also added some new ones into that group as well, most notably Storm Dancer's Brace, which I made a video about most recently. And that exotic is it's so good now, especially with Bottom Tree, Stormcaller. I can't even remember the subclass names. With Bottom Tree Stormcaller and Storm Dancer's Brace, it is just fantastic. Getting half of that super back, and then you do more damage with the super with the more enemies you kill. Plus they buffed it so now landfall is even bigger, and it has like the arc projectiles that fire out. Yeah, Storm Dancer's Brace is a nice one that they did tune, and it's just nice seeing all these exotics being used again. I love it. I love that the sandbox team is working on making the underused exotics viable again, because there's so many unique exotics in Destiny 2 that just weren't used, like Storm Dancer's Brace. It's really good, but it just wasn't used because, like, why would you, like, I don't know, it just wasn't used. I don't know why, but it wasn't used. But now that gives it half the super energy back, I see more people running it, and I love seeing that. One other thing that I want to talk about that I might get some backlash for, but I'm ready for it, was the nerf to Warm Mind Cells. I am so happy that they nerfed Warm Mind Cells because they were just too powerful. You could clear out pretty much an entire room with one Warm Mind Cell. That is so OP. Now, they're still good. I have used them before. My girlfriend just recently got back into Destiny 2, and I carried her through Prophecy, and I had to use Warm Mind Cells just because the one Warm Mind Cell can still clear out a pretty decent size. It's not nowhere near as big as the range as it once was, but you still can clear out a decent size. Like if there's a Warm Mind Cell that drops in a cluster of enemies and you blow it up, it'll clear out all those enemies, which will save your life. Warm Mind Cells are still really powerful. Plus the guns that they drop on is really good. Like for instance, Ikelos SMG, Threat Detector Surrounded is still a really good role. And pair that with the fact that it can spawn Warm Mind Cells, you have a great ad clearing weapon, and Warm Mind Cells are still really good. And maybe it also shines some light on some of the other Warm Mind Cell mods like Strength of Rasputin, so whenever you pick up a Warm Mind Cell, you gain half your melee energy back. or the other one, I forget what it's called, but when you pick up a Warmind cell, it creates like an arc energy field around you, and it just pretty much electrifies anything near all the enemies near you. So maybe with the nerf to Warmind cells, you can kind of create some different Warmind cell builds as opposed to just slapping on global reach and you're good. Like now maybe you can get a little bit more creative with that. So I'm loving that they nerf Warmind cells, because I don't find it fun the fact that you can just spawn one Warmind cell and just nuke an entire room and kill all the enemies. I feel like part of the fantasy of Destiny is you being the guardian that's killing all these enemies, blowing them up with Firefly or whatever it is, using Bottom Tree Dawnblade or Middle Tree Voidwalker, right? I feel like the power fantasy relies in that, not just killing a bunch of enemies with a gun, spawning a Warmind cell, blowing it up, and just killing everything you see. I don't really think that's good, although it was extremely powerful. I'm not saying that they were weak or anything. I just felt like they were too good that it kind of tarnished the gameplay. It kind of tarnished the combat, so it made it feel trivial. So I'm very glad that Warmind cells got nerfed, and even if you still want to use them, you're still going to be fine with them because the weapons are good and Warmind cells are still good. So go ahead and give them a shot and let me know if you agree with what I'm saying here. Now I want to talk about the artifact this season, because I think this is a medium-sized pain point for me this season, and it's the fact that we only have 2 overload options this season for weapons. We have Overload Sword, which costs 6 energy slots, right? So that's a pretty hefty cost for an overload option. But the mod that we have that only costs 1, which is normal for normal weapons, is Overload Bow. Now I get it, Overload on bow is really good. It's just 1 bow or 1 arrow and it stuns them. That's fantastic. But for me, and I think a lot of people, bows are just so boring to use. Right, although they may be good, I don't like using bows at all. There's a couple of exotic options that are good out there: Lamanark, Trinity Ghoul, Tikus. These are great options, but bows in general just are boring. I think they're so boring, and I wish that there was other options. I wish that there was just 2 for everyone. Right now we have 3 unstoppable options: Pulse, Sidearm, and Linear Fusion. We have 1 anti-barrier, which is another pain point. I wish, although I like auto rifle anti-barrier, I know not everybody likes auto rifles. So I wish that there were just 2 options. And we do have the exotic weapons that have anti-champion mods intrinsic to them. But if we're just talking strictly artifact mods, there needs to be at least 2 for every option: 2 barrier, 2 unstop, and 2 overload. I feel like that should just be a standard for every seasonal artifact. And then of course you can throw in like your one-offs like Unstoppable Fusion, Linear Fusion, Overload Sword, Overload Melee. Like right now we have Solar and Stasis Melee Overload, which is fantastic. But for just your standard weapons that cost 1 mod slot, there needs to be at least 2. Just give people some options. Now for me, I would say just let people use whatever they wanted, but again, I understand the fact that they want us to use certain things in certain seasons or whatever it may be. Bungie wants us to use guns that they're buffing, so of course they buff fusions. Now we have fusion and stop and certain things like that. So I get it, but I just wish that maybe we had a little bit more flexibility there. Now speaking of fusions, particle deconstruction. This mod is just insane. I've always liked linear fusions. I think that they're cool weapons and stuff like that, but they were just weak. Now you slap on particle deconstruction, and I believe that they recently just got a little minor buff, and oh my god, are they so good. Wither Horde with a decently rolled threaded needle is just some top tier DPS. Throw in your super and you're just going to do so much damage to raid bosses, honestly any type of boss in the game, and it's fantastic. You can use Lawrence Driver, which is another great exotic that we got this season. Pick up those little like bounties or whatever they are, the little chime looking things that you can pick up from killing enemies. Get 3 of those, get the insane damage buff, slap on particle deconstruction. Now you got a fantastic option for damage, and it just feels great. You know, Sleeper Simulant's another one, 1k. I love the fact that all these exotics are being used again just because of the seasonal artifact mod, and this seasonal artifact mod is going to be here until February, so we have a lot of time. So my people out there who are still hunting Vex Mythic class, you want to pair it with particle deconstruction, don't worry, because there's going to be plenty of time to do so. Like, I'm still one of those people, I don't even have Vex Mythic class yet, and I really want to use it with particle deconstruction, so I'm hoping I get it before the season ends, so that way I can run particle deconstruction with Vex with the class and I can feel that power. The seasonal activity for this season is actually a really fun time. You know, I had a good time the first time I went in, and all the other times I went in, I think it's fun. You know, there's actual encounters with mechanics, which is great, much better than Override, which is just kill enemies, deposit the modes. We have Gambit, and we had Season of the Rivals, which is the same thing. So I'm glad they actually made a activity with a lot of enemies. Although there's still 6 players, there's still a lot of enemies, and there's mechanics, so it's not just mindlessly killing enemies, depositing emotes. You actually have to think about something and do something. Walk the batteries to the little things, the beacons or whatever, finding the boss and killing the right boss for this week, although it's going to change at reset, or maybe by the time you're watching this video it might be a different boss, but there's one where you got to find the right boss and kill him. Like, that's fun, it's cool. So I'm liking this activity a lot. Now I wish the reward structure for the activity itself was a little bit better. Right now I feel like I'm spending my parallax trajectories for something that I can just get from the Umbral engrams. So why would I even open up these troves for something that I can just use an Umbral engram and focus? Now I don't really understand the concept there. Maybe something in the seasonal and the little like the compass that you upgrade, maybe something changes it farther on. I haven't really read all the options there. But as for right now, there really isn't a point to do it. So that's just maybe a little bit of confusion on my part. So hopefully that changes in the future. But as for right now, this seasonal activity is fantastic. It's fun time, it's good, the encounters are good, so I'm really enjoying it. Prophecy got some love now that they updated the loot pool. The weapons that they have inside of Prophecy now are just insane. They're the old Trials of the 9 weapon, and they have some crazy rolls, some really crazy rolls. So now it actually gives a reason to keep running Prophecy again to farm up that god roll. I love these new weapons. The aesthetic is great on them, and they have great perk options. So definitely hop into Prophecy if you haven't already, because they have fantastic weapons. Now onto the lore side of the season. Now I'm not the biggest lore guy in Destiny 2, but I like the way that it's going. Like, Savathun was Osiris this whole time, and now we don't know whether or not we can trust her or not. And then Marisov is kind of acting weird. So there's some interesting plot lines that are happening right now, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, especially with the launch of Witch King coming in February. I feel like everything's just gonna tie in nicely together. There's probably gonna be some unexpected plot twists, and I'm really looking forward to that. Bungie has just been killing it narratively lately, and it just feels great. All the stuff that they've been talking about since Destiny 1, like the Darkness and Savathun, are finally coming to light. We're finally seeing them in the game, and we're finally interacting with them, and we have stories around them, and it's just cool to see that finally happen, because I've been playing Destiny 1 since the beta, and hearing about all these things like the Darkness and Savathun, and you're like, well, what the hell is that? Now it's finally in the game, and you don't have to wonder anymore. Now there is one thing I wish that they did to kind of fix the lore, or not really the lore, but okay, so for example, if a new player just hopped into Destiny now, they would have no idea why these pyramid chips are there, who Savathun is, what the Darkness is, why we have stasis. Like, they would have no idea. They would have to go back and play Beyond Light, but all the previous seasons are just gone, like Season of the Rivals with the pyramid chips. That's an integral part to now Beyond Light and all the stuff that's leading up to it now. So I wish that there was some way to kind of integrate maybe just a long cutscene, or maybe just individual cutscenes that you can watch back to back, so you can kind of get caught up on what's happening in the Destiny universe. Because right now it kind of feels like if you didn't play it, now you have no idea what's going on. You kind of feel left out of the loop, and then you have to maybe go on YouTube and kind of find all these third-party websites when you really should just be finding all this stuff in the game. But I'm sure that's not on the top of Bungie's priority list right now. They're probably more focused on creating a fluid game and stuff like that, patching out all the bugs, getting ready for the launch of Witch Queen, getting ready for Void 3.0, which I'm so excited for, and plus all the upcoming changes to the Arc and Solar subclasses. So I'm pretty sure they're not really focused on creating a way for people to see the past story of the game. Although I feel like it's really important, they're probably more focused on the combat and like the gameplay part of it, which in my opinion is more important. But lore, you can't forget about lore either. Now, although I'm not the biggest PvP guy in the Destiny community, I have played a little bit of PvP, and I gotta say, it does feel pretty good. There's a lot of primary weapon engagements, which is what I like to use. I like to use my primary weapon the most whenever I play PvP, so that feels good. Stasis isn't that strong, which I never really found to be an issue, at least for me. I didn't really care about getting frozen that often, but now it's not even that strong. It doesn't feel oppressive like it once did, so I guess that's good for the majority of the community. I don't know, the PvP sandbox feels good. I feel like it's always felt good in my opinion, so I guess that's a plus. So if you like PvP, definitely a good time to start playing. So in conclusion, this season, is it worth buying? Absolutely. It's going to set you up for Witch Queen. There's a lot of great weapons, a lot of great changes, although those weren't part of the seasons, but the seasonal activity is fun. The loot is really good, the weapons and the armor look good, so I definitely recommend getting this season. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you guys are having fun with it, and let me know what your favorite part of the season is so far, whether it's the activity, the loot, the story. Just let me know whatever it may be in the comments below. I look forward to reading your comments. But if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It truly helps me out a lot. You guys check out my other videos. Links are in the description below. I have a lot of crazy builds, so go ahead and check that out. And you might as well follow my social media. I have a Twitter and an Instagram, both at @fat_Bloonskis. But with all that being said, deuces.